Okay, so get this for this deep dive. We're going to be looking at how AI could totally transform festivals. Like, Desfile de Años Viejos
Yeah.
and Carnaval de Negros y Blancos, those really vibrant celebrations in Latin America.
Yeah. Yeah.
The amazing costumes
Mm.
and the deep history and it's really a whole community coming together, right?
It is, yeah.
But we're going to be looking at it with a twist, like how AI could actually make these festivals even better, but without, losing what makes them so special culturally.
Yeah, that's a really interesting concept.
Yeah, it's kind of like giving the artists and organizers this superpower,
Right.
but not replacing them with robots or anything.
Exactly, yeah.
So one of the areas where I think this could be super cool is in the design process. Like imagine if you could just feed in AI all this visual data from past festivals.
Right.
Like the floats, the costumes, all the symbols. And then it could actually suggest new designs that blend tradition with
Thank God.
or contemporary themes. That'd be amazing.
Right. Yeah, and that's where something called GENs come in. It stands for Generative Adversarial Networks. And basically you have these two AI algorithms that kind of battle it out. One tries to create something new based on the data that it's been fed, and the other one acts as a judge. And it just keeps pushing it to create something even more realistic and more innovative.
It's like having an art student that never sleeps.
Yeah.
And has access to like centuries of inspiration.
Exactly.
It's wild.
Yeah, and the results can be really amazing. Take the 2023 Burning Man Festival, for example. One of the art installations there, called Bloom, was actually designed with the help of AI. And the artist collaborated with the AI system to create these giant luminous flowers that actually responded to the environment and to the people around them.
Oh, wow.
So it was this perfect blend of human artistry and the AI's ability to process all this data and then generate these really unique forms.
That's incredible. I love how it's not about replacing human creativity. It's like pushing it further in new ways. So beyond design, where else do you think this could really play out?
Well, think about how AI could transform the storytelling aspect of these festivals. Imagine walking up to a giant Año Viejo effigy and you scan a QR code with your phone, and then suddenly you're immersed in this personalized narrative about what that specific effigy represents, its connection to the community, its history, maybe even a glimpse into its future.
It's like giving each piece of the parade its own voice, its own story.
Exactly.
That adds so much more meaning to the experience. But how would that actually work? Is the AI like writing these stories from scratch?
That's where things get really interesting. The AI wouldn't be writing in a vacuum. It would actually be analyzing historical data, cultural references, maybe even interviews with local community members. And then using all that information, it could weave together these personalized narratives for each piece in the parade. And it could even respond to the user's location, the time of day, or even their personal interests.
Oh, wow. So it's not just some pre-recorded message. It's a constantly evolving experience.
Yeah.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
And it's not limited to audio. Imagine using augmented reality to bring those stories to life visually. So you scan your phone over a float, and suddenly you see virtual dancers swirling around it, or historical figures stepping out of the design, or even interactive elements that allow you to engage with the story in real time.
Whoa, now we're talking about blurring the lines between reality and the digital world. Yeah, that's a game changer, especially for festivals like Carnaval de Negros y Blancos, where the costumes and masks are already so visually striking, Imagine that those masks came to life with like virtual expressions or patterns that shift and change as you walk by.
Exactly. It's about taking those visual elements and amplifying them, creating an immersive experience that's both rooted in tradition and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And it doesn't stop there. You could even use virtual reality to create digital replicas of these festivals, which would allow people from all over the world to experience them, even if they can't physically be there.
That's incredible. That would be amazing for accessibility, especially for people who might not be able to navigate the crowds or handle the physical demands of a festival. They could still be part of the celebration, experiencing the sights and sounds, maybe even interacting with other virtual attendees from around the world.
Exactly. You could have people from Japan, Brazil, the U.S., all experiencing the Desfile de Años Viejos together in a virtual space. And that brings up another exciting possibility: AI-powered translation tools.
Oh, that's right. So you could be chatting with someone in real time, even if you don't speak the same language. It's like AI is breaking down barriers. of language and geography,
Yeah.
allowing for a truly global celebration.
Yeah,
That opens up a whole new level of cultural exchange, right?
it really does. And it's not just about bringing people together virtually. AI can also play a role in enhancing the physical festival experience itself.
Okay, I'm all ears. Let's talk about how AI can work its magic behind the scenes.
Well, think about the logistics of organizing a massive event, like Carnaval de Negros y Blancos. You've got parade routes to plan, crowds to manage, security to consider, and all of that can be streamlined and optimized using AI.
So we're talking about like AI algorithms figuring out the most efficient parade route.
Yeah.
Maybe even adjusting in real time based on crowd density or other conditions.
Exactly.
That would definitely save the organizers a lot of headaches.
Yeah. And AI-powered image recognition systems could be used to monitor the crowds, identifying potential safety hazards, or even alerting security personnel to lost children. It's all about using AI to enhance the safety and efficiency of the event, freeing up human organizers to focus on the creative and cultural aspects.
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure the local authorities would appreciate the extra help in keeping things running smoothly.
Absolutely. And beyond the logistical aspects, AI can also be a really powerful tool for cultural preservation.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Tell me more about how AI can become like a historian for these festivals.
Well, imagine creating a massive digital archive of all the elements that make up these festivals. So the designs, the music, the stories, the oral histories, even the traditional dance movements. AI could help us collect, organize, and analyze all of that data, revealing hidden patterns and connections that might not be apparent to the human eye.
So it's like creating a digital DNA of these festivals, ensuring that their essence is preserved for future generations. Even as certain traditions fade away or evolve over time,
Right.
that's really powerful.
And it's not just about preserving the past, it's about understanding it in new ways. AI could help us analyze the evolution of these festivals over time, identifying how they've been influenced by social, political, or even environmental changes.
So it's like having an AI anthropologist
Yeah.
helping us decode the cultural layers of these celebrations.
Exactly.
But let's be real for a second. All this talk about AI can be a bit, intimidating. Some people might worry that it's going to take over, replace the human element altogether.
Yeah, I understand that concern, but I think it's important to remember that AI is a tool. It's only as good as the humans who wield it. And in the context of cultural events like these, the key is to use AI in a way that enhances and amplifies human creativity. It doesn't replace it.
So it's about finding that sweet spot, that balance, where AI and human ingenuity work together to create something truly special.
Exactly. It's about empowering the artists, the organizers, and the community members with these AI tools that allow them to express themselves in new ways while still staying true to the heart of their traditions.
That's a great way to put it. I think that's a good place to pause for now. We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive, from AI-powered design and storytelling to the potential for virtual festivals and the importance of cultural preservation. But we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah, we have.
There's so much more to explore.
In the next part, we'll delve deeper into some of the ethical considerations and the potential challenges of using AI in this way. We'll also explore some real-world examples of how AI is already being used in cultural events around the globe.
We've seen how AI could really shake things up at these festivals. But let's be real, it's not all, confetti and laser shows. There are some real questions we need to think about.
Definitely. It's like we're giving these festivals this powerful new tool, but we need to make sure it's used in the right way. One of the big things that keeps coming up is cultural sensitivity. This festival's like such deep roots. We don't want AI to just flatten them into something generic.
No, it's not about turning every festival into some AI-powered spectacle. The technology should be there to serve the culture, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So how do we make sure the AI actually understands the nuances of each tradition?
Well, it all starts with the data. Let's say you're trying to use AI to suggest designs for the costumes at Carnaval de Negros y Blancos. If the AI has only been trained on, Western fashion trends, it's going to totally miss the mark.
Right. It'd be like asking a chef who's only ever made pizza to cook up, in traditional Oaxacan mole. The ingredients might be there, but the soul of the dish is going to be missing.
Exactly. You need to feed the AI this rich diet of data that actually reflects the specific cultural context of each festival. That means images, music, historical accounts, even interviews with local artisans and community elders.
So it's not just about raw data. It's about curating that data to make sure it captures the essence. of the tradition. It sounds like there's a real need for collaboration between AI experts and the people who actually live and breathe these festivals.
Absolutely, you need that human element to guide the AI, to make sure it's not just, spitting out technically impressive designs or music, but something that really resonates with the cultural values and aesthetics of the festival.
It's like having a translator, not just for language, but for culture, making sure the AI speaks the language of the festival.
Exactly. And it's not just about avoiding cultural blunders either. We also need to think about the economic impact of AI on these festivals.
Okay, let's talk about the money side of things. How could AI affect the livelihoods of the artists and craftspeople who really depend on these festivals for their income?
Well, there is a potential concern that AI could displace human labor. If you can use AI to design floats or costumes, you might not need as many human designers.
Right, that's a valid concern. But couldn't AI also create new opportunities? What if it frees up artists to focus on more specialized or high-end work, while the AI handles the more repetitive tasks?
That's definitely a possibility. It's kind of like how automation has transformed manufacturing. Some jobs were lost, but new ones were created. It's about adapting and finding ways to integrate AI into the existing ecosystem.
So it seems like a lot depends on how the technology is actually implemented. If it's done thoughtfully, with the community's interests in mind, it could be a win-win for everyone.
I agree. And that brings us to another important aspect, the ownership of AI-generated content. Let's say an AI helps design a float or compose music. For a festival, who owns the copyright?
That's a tricky question. Does it belong to the AI developers, the festival organizers, the artists who collaborated with the AI?
Yeah, it's a real legal gray area right now, and something that needs to be very carefully considered. You don't want to end up in a situation where traditional artists are being exploited or their work is being appropriated without proper compensation.
Right, it's like the whole debate we see going on now about AI-generated art in general. There's some really incredible tools out there. But the question of ownership and attribution, it still feels like the Wild West out there.
Exactly. And it gets even more complicated when you're dealing with these cultural traditions that has been passed down through generations. Who owns the copyright to a traditional dance or a folk song?
Right, you can't just slap a copyright on something. That's been part of a community's identity for centuries.
Yeah, it's a really complex issue, and there's no easy answer, but it's a conversation we need to have. As we explore the potential of AI in this space, we need to make sure the technology is used in a way that respects cultural heritage and intellectual property rights.
It sounds like there's a real need for clear guidelines and legal frameworks to help us navigate all of this. But let's shift gears for a second and talk about some of the more positive possibilities. You mentioned earlier the potential for AI to actually revive dying traditions. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure, imagine a festival where a particular dance or craft has been lost to time. Maybe there are some old photographs, some written descriptions, but the actual knowledge of how to perform the dance or create the craft has disappeared.
It's like a missing piece of the cultural puzzle.
Exactly. But what if we could use AI to fill in those gaps, feed the AI all the available information, and it could potentially reconstruct those lost elements, create a virtual model of the dance, or even generate instructions for how to recreate the craft.
That would be amazing. It's like bringing a cultural artifact back to life.
Yeah.
And it's not just about preserving the past, right? AI could also help these festivals adapt to the changing needs and preferences of their audiences.
Oh, absolutely. Think about how AI could be used to personalize the whole festival experience, based on your interests, your cultural background, your previous festival experiences. And AI could recommend specific events, performances, even routes to take through the festival.
It's like having a personalized festival concierge. That would be incredible, especially for large, complex events like the Desfile de Años Viejos, where there's so much to see and do. It could help people discover things they might otherwise miss.
Yeah, and it could also help make these festivals more accessible to people with disabilities. Imagine real-time captioning for the hearing impaired, or tactile maps and audio descriptions for the visually impaired. AI could create a much more inclusive and welcoming experience for everyone.
Those are fantastic examples of how AI can break down barriers and create a more equitable experience.
And it's not just about individual accessibility. AI can also help make these festivals more sustainable and environmentally friendly. It could optimize transportation logistics to reduce carbon emissions, help design eco-friendly floats and costumes using sustainable materials, even monitor waste management and energy consumption during the event.
It's like using AI to make these festivals more responsible, and mindful of their impact on the planet.
Exactly. And I think this is going to become increasingly important in the years to come, as we all become more aware of the need to celebrate in a way that's also sustainable and responsible.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, both the potential pitfalls and the really exciting opportunities of AI in the festival world. It's clear this is not a simple black and white issue.
Definitely
Got a
not.
lot of nuances we have to think about.
I agree. And I think the key takeaway for everyone is that AI is a powerful tool. But it is just that, a tool. It's up to us, the humans, to decide how to use it in a way that benefits everyone, both the festivals themselves and the communities they represent.
And that means having these conversations, exploring the complexities, and working together to make sure that AI enhances, not erodes, the cultural richness and vibrancy of these amazing celebrations.
I couldn't agree more.
So are you ready to see how all of this plays out in the real world?
Absolutely. Let's move from the theoretical to the practical and see how AI is already making a difference at festivals around the world.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential, we've looked at the challenges. Now let's get into how AI is actually showing up at festivals in the real world. What are some examples that you're seeing out there?
Well, there are some really fascinating projects popping up all over. For instance, the Santa Fe Fiesta Council in New Mexico, they're doing some cool stuff with AI and cultural preservation. They're using AI to actually analyze decades of fiesta data, photos, videos, even handwritten notes, to see how those artistic expressions have evolved over time.
So they're basically using AI to understand their own traditions better. What kind of insights have they gotten from that?
Well, they've been able to identify trends in everything from the traditional dance forms to the design of the iconic zozobra effigy. And these insights are then shared with contemporary artists and performers, inspiring them to create new works that are both rooted in tradition and still relevant to today's audiences.
It's like AI is helping bridge that gap between generations, making sure that the cultural heritage continues to thrive. That's a really beautiful example of how technology can really serve tradition.
Yeah, it really is. Now let's hop over to Spain. The Phallus Festival in Valencia is using AI in a completely different way.
Oh yeah, I've heard about this festival. Isn't that the one where they build those giant sculptures and then burn them?
Exactly. They're called ninots. And they can be incredibly intricate and elaborate. And some artists are now using AI to help design these ninots. They feed the AI images of past sculptures, along with contemporary themes. And the AI generates these unique designs that really blend tradition with modern aesthetics.
So it's not about the AI taking over, right? It's more like giving the artist this new tool.
To push their boundaries.
Exactly. And some of these AI-generated designs are even being 3D printed, which allows for a level of detail and complexity. That would be really hard to achieve by hand.
Wow, that's really impressive. So it sounds like AI isn't just inspiring artists, it's actually changing the way they create. Yeah, it's a powerful example of how technology can augment human creativity. And it's not just happening in Santa Fe and Valencia. There are AI-powered projects popping up at festivals all over the world.
Okay, you've got me hooked. What else is out there?
Well, there's a group in Japan that's using AI to actually compose new music. For the traditional Bonodori dance festivals, they're training the AI on these centuries-old folk melodies and then having it generate new variations that still keep that spirit of the tradition alive.
So it's like AI is helping to keep the music alive, evolving it for new generations.
Exactly. And in Brazil, they're using AI to create these interactive light shows for Carnival that actually respond to the energy of the crowd and the music.
Wow, that sounds like a total sensory overload, but in a good way. It's amazing to see how AI is being used to create these immersive and engaging experiences.
And it's not just about the spectacle either. There are groups using AI to develop more sustainable and accessible festivals.
Like what we talked about before, using AI to make things run smoother, reduce waste, and make the festivals more inclusive for people with disabilities.
Exactly. So you can see there's a whole spectrum of ways that AI is being implemented at festivals, from cultural preservation to artistic innovation to creating a more sustainable and inclusive experience for everyone.
It seems like we're really just scratching the surface here.
I agree, and I think that's what's so exciting about it. We're witnessing the birth of this new era in festival culture, one where technology and tradition are coming together to create something really unique.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away? What should they keep in mind when they go out to experience these AI-infused festivals?
I think the most important thing is to approach it all with a sense of curiosity and openness. Don't be afraid to engage with the technology. Ask questions about how it's being used, and think critically about its impact on the whole experience.
And remember that AI is a tool. It's up to us, the humans, to decide how to use it in a way that enhances and enriches our celebrations.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for joining us on this journey into the future of festivals. I hope everyone's enjoyed the ride and that you'll continue to explore all the amazing ways AI is shaping our world.